Welcome to this explainer. Today we are diving into something truly epic. We're embarking on a cinematic journey into the life of a man whose laboratory wasn't just four walls and a desk. His laboratory was literally the entire world. We are uncovering the story of one of the absolute most brilliant scientific minds in human history. Let me ask you something. What if one person, just one guy, traversed over 3,000 miles across totally unforgiving deserts, massive mountains, and rugged coastlines, all on this relentless, single-minded quest to unlock the healing secrets of nature? Just imagine the absolute dedication required to pull off a massive expedition like that in the 13th century, armed with nothing but intellect and this insatiable desire to heal people. And what if I told you that the world's most comprehensive encyclopedia of medicinal plants was put together centuries before modern scientific laboratories even existed? Well, the mastermind behind all of this was Ibn al-Baitar, a scientist who basically single-handedly transformed the medieval study of botany into a highly advanced, rigorous medical science. Chapter 1: The Islamic Golden Age. So our story kicks off during the Islamic Golden Age, right, in the vibrant, bustling intellectual centers of Al-Andalus, which is modern-day Spain. Into this incredible, flourishing world of discovery, around 1197 CE, Dia al-Din Abu Muhammad Abdullah ibn al-Baitar was born in Malaga. Now, his very name actually translates to son of the veterinarian. So growing up watching his dad treat animals, he naturally developed this profound, deep-seated fascination with the healing properties of the plants growing all around him in the Andalusian countryside. Now, as a young man, Ibn al-Baitar didn't just sit around in a library reading dusty old texts. He apprenticed under a really pioneering botanist named Abu al-Abbas al-Nabati, and this mentor was a total game changer. He basically dragged Ibn al-Baitar out into the wild fields of Seville and Malaga, teaching him to physically collect plants right in their natural habitats. He taught him to compare them directly against ancient Greek manuscripts, and most importantly, to test their properties firsthand. And because of this, Ibn al-Baitar emerged from his training as a true pioneer of the scientific method. Just listen to his own words here. He explicitly states that he only accepted what was proven right by observation and experiment. He absolutely refused to blindly accept ancient myths. He demanded physical sensory evidence. He was basically laying the groundwork for modern empirical science centuries ahead of his time. Chapter 2: The Great Scientific Journey. Ibn al-Baitar quickly realized that to truly understand the world's medicine, he had to actually go out and see the world. So he embarks on this epic, decades-long adventure. In 1219, he leaves Spain. He treks across the entire northern coast of Africa, explores the Greek islands, and journeys all the way through Egypt. By 1224, his brilliance is just so undeniable that the Sultan in Cairo appoints him chief herbalist. And when the Sultan expands his rule to Damascus in 1227, Ibn al-Baitar is right there with him, scouring Syria, Arabia, and Palestine for brand new botanical treasures. Chapter 3: Exploring Nature's Pharmacy. Now, throughout this massive journey, he wasn't just some medieval tourist taking in the sights. He was exploring nature's pharmacy with unprecedented precision. He developed this incredibly strict protocol. First, he'd personally collect the plants in their native habitats. Second, he'd cross-reference classical texts and painstakingly write down the local, everyday names for these plants in multiple languages so that absolutely no knowledge would be lost. Third, he clinically tested combinations and dosages. And finally, he documented exactly how to prepare them to maximize their healing effects. And his observations were just next level. He didn't just look at a leaf and move on. He documented plants at every single stage of their growth. He recorded the medical uses of huge international trade items like the snow of China, which we know today as saltpetre. And he figured out how to use it in topical remedies. He even perfected the chemical distillation of essential oils. He was using rose water to calm heart palpitations and formulating orange water to treat fevers and digestive issues. Chapter 4: The Ultimate Botanical Encyclopedia. So all of this painstaking fieldwork, thousands and thousands of miles traveled, it all culminated right here. These magnificently illuminated manuscript pages represent his absolute masterpiece. Compiled between 1242 and 1248, this wasn't merely a book. It was the ultimate medical encyclopedia of its age. Ibn al-Baitar synthesized the knowledge of over 150 previous authors. But, and this is crucial, he didn't just copy them. He actively corrected their centuries-old errors based on his own hands-on empirical field tests. The sheer scale of this work is literally mind-blowing. He meticulously cataloged a staggering 1,400 medicinal substances, foods, and drugs. He organized the whole thing alphabetically, detailing exactly where they grew, how to prepare them, and the precise clinical dosages needed for treatment. But here is where his legacy truly cements itself in history. Out of those 1,400 substances, about 300 of them were entirely new. He introduced hundreds of previously undiscovered plants and their medical applications to scientific literature for the very first time. No one had ever done anything like this. Chapter 5. Advancing Pharmacology and Medicine. It's so easy to just wave this away as ancient history, right? But look at the direct, undeniable link between his medieval field tests and modern pharmacology. He recommended willow bark for pain relief. Well, today we know it contains salicin, which is the active ingredient in aspirin. He used chamomile to calm the stomach. Modern science confirms it contains apogenin. And incredibly, he identified hydiba or chicory for treating tumors. Get this, in 1997, researchers actually patented extracts of this exact plant for treating neoplastic disorders, specifically citing its historical use. Absolutely incredible. And his diagnostic brilliance had massive, immediate, real-world impacts on human lives. Take his treatment of severe skin disorders, for example. He used a plant called acroprenol, which reacts with sunlight to restore skin pigmentation for patients with vitiligo. He was essentially anticipating modern PUVA light therapy. And because his diagnostic skills were so sharp, he could accurately tell the difference between non-contagious vitiligo and highly infectious leprosy. By doing that, he literally saved countless patients from the horrific, completely unnecessary social isolation that came with the tragic leprosy misdiagnosis. Chapter 6. A Legacy of Innovation. Ibn al-Baitar was just a fearless innovator. He forever altered the trajectory of medicine, transmitting this highly advanced knowledge all the way into Renaissance Europe. His second great masterpiece was a totally symptom-based clinical manual. So instead of long alphabetical lists, he brilliantly grouped drugs by their therapeutic application to specific organs. Remedies for the head, cures for the eyes, treatments for the kidneys. It was so incredibly practical that it was translated into Latin and utilized by doctors across Europe well into the 19th century. Throughout his life, he managed to standardize pharmaceutical preparations across entire empires, but his absolute, unwavering dedication to empirical testing, well, it came at the highest possible cost. In 1248, while living in Damascus, Ibn al-Baitar tragically passed away at around 50 years old. The cause? He was accidentally poisoned while conducting a first-hand test on a new, toxic plant specimen. He literally gave his life to his research, making the ultimate sacrifice for the advancement of human health. Which brings us to a final, really profound thought to leave you with. The next time you open your medicine cabinet or the next time you pick up a prescription from the pharmacy, I want you to just stop and ask yourself, how many of those modern cures actually began with a medieval botanist's epic 3,000-mile journey across the desert? It truly leaves you wondering just how much of our modern health, comfort, and survival is owed directly to Ibn al-Baitar and his relentless, lifelong quest to unlock the healing secrets of nature.